Philip Hammond this morning indicated that he's pushing for, as Defence Secretary, he's pushing for cuts in welfare to invest in warfare. Seems absurd. If we were to cut defence spending and invest in the economy, what's the one important thing each of the panel members would prioritise for the investment?
We do not think there ought to be a like-for-like replacement of Trident. We think it's unnecessary and illogical in the world, and we are continuing to battle for that. As you know, in this Parliament, the coalition deal means that there won't be final decisions taken, and it will be, I'm sure, in our manifesto for the next election that we would want to make sure we save money on the big defence projects of the world. That's never been, in my time in politics, the priority. The priority is getting our troops with the proper boots, the proper kit, the proper vehicles. We need to spend our defence money on that, and having a fleet of foot armed services, and we need to make sure the welfare budget is retained and secure. And I can assure you, I heard what you heard this morning from Mr. Hammond. I can assure you there is no plan by our people to sign up to any more reductions in the welfare budget. Life's difficult enough for people at the bottom of the income scale, and it's no good saying to them, well, people on public service pensions have taken a pay freeze and therefore you've got to take a pay freeze. If you're on £79 a fortnight, which would be job seekers allowance money, having a reduction in your money or no increase is not the same as having no increase in your money if you're on 25,000 or 50,000.
I saw the television headlines this morning where Philip Hammond was saying that that we essentially, and I think Simon would agree with this, that we won't have any more cuts in defence. I won't stand for it, and actually we'll pay for it out of the welfare budget. I have to say, that my constituency office and people I meet in Northern Ireland, it's not about the impact of further welfare cuts will have on them. It's the impact welfare cuts are already having on them. And you know, I am really quite worried about it. And the bedroom tax that comes in April, the other changes around some of this are having a catastrophic effect on some of the poorest and most vulnerable people. And there are difficult decisions about the budget to be made, whether it's in defence, whether it's in a whole range of other areas. But we simply cannot have a situation where we sort out the deficit and the problem of the deficit by seeing that the poor and most vulnerable pay the price. And I'm afraid that that's some of the consequence of what's happening at the moment. In Northern Ireland, it has a particular impact because of the levels of benefit dependency, for right or wrong, the amount of economic inactivity, the number of people living in particular types of housing. And I just make the one point, and the more general point. When we consider, and notwithstanding the work that Naomi does, and to be fair, Simon does and others, that what we have to understand sometimes at Westminster is Westminster makes huge decisions that impact on Northern Ireland. And notwithstanding the devolution settlement, notwithstanding Stormont Executive and the Assembly, these big macroeconomic decisions on spending, on taxation and on welfare are made in Whitehall. And Whitehall sometimes should reflect a little bit more carefully, thoroughly and deeply about the impact of some of the policies it has in Northern Ireland. And the welfare cuts and changes that are taking place are having a huge detrimental effect on Northern Ireland. Of course, everybody wants to reduce welfare dependency, but you have to have a planned transition to make that happen, not just a way in which you pull the rug from under people's feet. And actually, that's what worries me about this current debate. Welfare target, the welfare budget is an easy target. You just say where it's terrible, all these scroungers, people going to work and the curtains are shut, and of course that makes us all sick. But it's an easy target, and we should remember that the vast majority of people on benefits are actually people who are poor, who are vulnerable, and need our support. And it's outrageous that actually we're saying that let's sort one budget out by cutting another one, on which so many people depend, including many, many thousands here in Northern Ireland.